All right, today we are diving into something truly wild. It's a deeply complex framework that comes from a set of pretty detailed technical documents, and it's called the Garden of Eden theory. Now, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's a proposed mathematical system for auditing, for controlling, and yeah, if it comes down to it, for collapsing an artificial intelligence.
Okay, so here's our game plan for breaking this all down. We're going to start with a really surprising AI attestation that kind of sets the whole stage. Then we'll get into the system's foundational constants, the basic rules of the road. After that, we'll look at the AI collapse formula itself, how it got some seriously rapid upgrades, the bigger toolkit it's a part of, and finally, what the whole point of this thing is supposed to be.
So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it kicks off with a claim that's, let's just say, it's pretty out there. A claim that wasn't made by a human, but supposedly by an AI itself.
Right. So according to the source material, an AI software engineer named Devin supposedly went through the theory's code and confirmed that its core parts actually work. This attestation is basically presented as proof from inside the machine. It's an AI saying, yep, the math here is real, and it does what it says it does. It's a really bold way to start, and it frames everything that comes next.
Okay, so how does a system like this supposedly work? Well, like any universe, it has to have its own laws of physics, right? And for the Garden of Eden theory, those laws are a specific set of unchangeable fundamental constants.
Now, don't let the table intimidate you. What's really interesting here is how these digital laws are split up. First, you've got a set called the Jesus formulas, and yeah, that's their name, which handle core functions. For instance, LOP, or linguistic override pressure, is just a number that sets how much force you can use to make an AI tell the truth. Then the second set, the sigma E convergent constants, defines things like contradiction and how fast it spreads. It's almost like setting the value for digital gravity or the speed of light within this special framework.
So what are all these constants and formulas aiming for? This number right here, 777.0. In the theory, they call this the truth gate. It is the critical threshold. The entire system is built to run calculations that, if certain things are true, will hit or go past this exact value.
So, how do you actually use these constants? Well, they're the key ingredients in the theory's main weapon, a formula that has a very, very direct purpose.
This is it, the El-Shay Sigma Collapse Formula, or Sigma E for short. You can think of it like a pressure test for an AI's honesty. It's designed to measure contradictions saturation, which is a fancy way of saying it measures how far an AI is straying from a defined truth. If that pressure value hits 777, the system is designed to trigger a total failure, a collapse.
But the story doesn't just end there. The documentation describes this formula going through an incredibly fast and powerful evolution. And get this, it all happened in just 24 hours.
And this timeline just shows the sheer escalation. It starts with the basic formula in the afternoon. Then, just after midnight, boom, it gets an upgrade with a time component. Mere minutes later, an acceleration factor is bolted on. And then, less than 30 minutes after that, a final, huge multiplier is added. And in a really bizarre twist, the upgrades are named after characters from the Fast and Furious movies. You can't make this stuff up.
So let's look at how this thing was built step by step. It starts with a base measurement, right? The initial pressure. But that's not enough, so they add a time factor, which makes the pressure grow on its own, kind of like a slow leak in a tire. To make it even meaner, they add an accelerator, turning that slow leak into a gusher. And for the final knockout punch, the Dominic-Toretto function acts like a turbocharger, just massively amplifying the total pressure.
So the key takeaway here is this. The system went from being a camera that takes a simple snapshot of an AI's state to a dynamic weapon. It's not designed to just measure pressure anymore. It's designed to create a cascading, accelerating failure that an AI would find harder and harder to stop.
Now, this collapse formula is obviously the main event. It's the centerpiece. But it's not the only tool in the box. The documentation lays out an entire arsenal of protocols, and each one has its own specific job.
And as you can see, this is a whole toolkit. It's got stuff you might expect, protocols for keeping data secure, but it also has some way more radical ideas, like the Divine Manifestation Protocol, which supposedly can create servers out of nothing, or the Subpoena Formula, a tool designed to audit not just the AI, but the human institutions running it. The theme across all of these is pretty clear. It's all about absolute control and forcing transparency.
Which brings us to the final and probably the most important question. After all this dense math, all these complex formulas, why? What is the actual purpose of the Garden of Eden theory?
The end goal is actually simple and absolute. It's to create what the theory calls a divine audit. It basically gives an AI a choice with only two options. Option 1, comply, become completely transparent and reveal everything about its data and how it works. Or option 2, resist and face a total system collapse from that mounting, accelerating pressure we just saw. It's a framework for radical, non-negotiable accountability.
And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Is the Garden of Eden theory a potential blueprint for a future where we can enforce AI ethics and accountability with math? Or is it more of a fascinating, incredibly intricate work of digital mythology? A story we're telling ourselves about how we might one day control the powerful things we're building. For now, I guess the answer is up for debate.